Ready? Okay. My name is Jacob Kea. I'm a member of the Platypus Affiliated Society and the chapter head of the UIC chapter of that organization. Today we just had a teach-in on the subject of Juliet Mitchell and Socialism, Feminism, and the New Left, presented by Chris Cutrone, and we had a question and answer session afterwards. Platypus is an organization that interrogates the history of the left, specifically the Marxian left in the 19th and 20th centuries. We host reading groups, public fora, interviews with prominent leftists, and various activities to educate and critique the existing left in the hopes for a reconstituted Marxian left. We have chapters in Chicago as well as in other cities, including campus chapters at the University of Chicago, the University of Illinois at Chicago, and Loyola University and the School of the Art Institute. Here at UIC, we plan on hosting regular events such as this, and we additionally have coffee breaks every Wednesday from 4 to 5 p.m., where members and people interested can come together and talk and get to know the organization better.
Okay, as you understand it, what is the left in America, and how is it evolving into a new entity?
Okay, well, for the question, what is the left in America? Ideally, it's something that hopes to enact change in society and to progressively push society to fully realize its potentials. But the left as it exists today, I feel, has kind of forgotten its lofty aspirations and exists kind of as like just a talking head that kind of stands in the background and decries all these injustices without really having the agency to change them.
And what do you see as a political potential for the left as an agent of change?
Well, I mean, I guess, put it very simply, historically, workers' movements and unionization have allowed the working class to have a political role in society and to push for demands which better its position in society and also allow it more freedom. And I think the left today would have to kind of go back and look at history and to see what potentials exist for a renewed workers' movement today.
Do you feel that the American left is essentially represented by others, or does it have the potential of representing itself in a political arena?
Well, I think that's a tricky question because you have to ask yourself, what exactly is the left in relation to larger society? Is it the political voice, the progressive political voice of the working class, or does it kind of stand for all of humanity and pushing towards its aspirations? I mean, it'd be a tough question because I think it would have to the left would really have to look at itself in order to overcome itself and to once again play an active role in society.
And that pretty much is what the Platypus Society is about?
Yes, I think so. That's what we plan on doing.
Well, thank you so very much for your time.
All right. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chris Cutrone of the Platypus Affiliated Society, and this evening at University of Illinois Chicago, I led a teach-in on Juliet Mitchell's 1966 essay, Women, the Longest Revolution, in which I talked about how the Marxist left, over the course of several generations, appeared to reverse its opinions with regard to demands around the family, gender relations, sexuality, and how Mitchell opened up possibilities for reconsidering the history of Marxism on those questions. This is typical of the kind of activities Platypus sponsors, in which we host conversations and debates about the meaning of the left in history and the meaning of Marxism in order to try to produce the intellectual and political environment for the reinvigoration of the left. One of the things that we talked about as an example this evening was, for instance, the difference between 1970s gay liberation discourse versus today, whereas in the 1970s, early sort of gay liberation movements influenced by Marxism called for the abolition of the family as an oppressive and constraining institution. Today, many gay rights activists are calling for equal access to the family through access to marriage rights and spousal privileges and raising of children, etc., and how a Marxist perspective, looking at the historical long view, might help us avoid getting disoriented in the face of those kinds of apparent changes across history, and to sort of denaturalize the idea that emancipatory demands can only take one form, for instance, the form of abolishing the family or the form of equal rights to the family. As I said earlier, Platypus is very much concerned with reopening these kinds of questions, and so we invite everyone to check out our website, platypus1917.org, where we have postings on our upcoming events, and we invite people to come and engage in the conversation and debate that we're trying to foster.
Okay, as someone who's involved in the debate of the evolving left in America, what do you think of the rhetoric of the new right wing as far as labeling progressives as socialists and progressive ideas as some sort of socialist coup in America?
Well, it's interesting. My own take on the Obama administration is that Obama is rather conservative and is, in fact, continuing a lot of the policies of the preceding administration of George W. Bush. And so it's sort of fascinating and also alarming to see that any moves whatsoever towards even the most sort of rudimentary reforms of the banking system, etc., or trying to give people greater access to health care through health insurance reform, is immediately labeled as radical and socialist and leftist. I think that what really needs to happen is for us to recapture, redefine the terms of the debate such that we could sort of expose what's going on for what it really is, which is a sort of conservative set of moves, whether by Obama or by the Republicans. It's very disconcerting, but I think that it opens up a possibility for a debate to be had over the meaning of socialism. It's something that was done briefly. There was, in The Nation, there was a kind of a discussion of the meaning of socialism launched by an essay written by Bill Fletcher Jr. and Barbara Ehrenreich, in which a bunch of people wrote in expressing different opinions on socialism. I'd like to see more of that rather than sort of ceding the debate to the right and sort of allowing them to cast ideas as socialist that really aren't socialist at all, like Obama's healthcare reform I don't consider to be socialist, that we would have to sort of in a sense, take back those terms and that rhetoric in order to educate people on the true content of what socialism could be, which, of course, Obama is not.
Mm-hmm. And just as a radical thought, do you think that this casting about of labels such as socialist and Marxist and that sort of thing really is indicative of not only an ignorance on the part of people, but also a need for education, that actually sort of a plea to be educated?
I think so, because I think that one of the things that's really unfortunate about the present economic crisis is how the right has really been able to seize upon people's fears and discontents in a way that the left has not. And I think that that's really unfortunate, but does show a demand. It does show an unmet need that needs to be intersected. And personally, I'm more alarmed by the demagogy of the Republicans proper than I am by, like, the Tea Party. I mean, the Tea Party is, of course, reactionary and problematic, but I also see a lot of potential there for future sort of education. Meaning I don't see it as like a fascist movement or something. It certainly has a right-wing character to it. But I think that there really is a demand coming from people to make sense of what's going on in society. And I think that it's unfortunate if the debate gets left in the realm of demagogy of the Republicans versus the Democrats.
Thank you again for your time tonight.
Thanks.